Good evening, everybody. Tonight's dish is going to be pie of the shepherd, sided by a simple spinach salad, chocolate milk, and Chris Noble. This episode is specifically for you, my friend. Nice to hear from you. So, what you're going to need to start off with. We've got 2-pound log of ground beef. We've got 13 potatoes, about medium size. We've got some garlic. We've got a frozen bag of vegetables. This specific mix with the peas, carrots, corn, and green beans. These little gravy sauce packets from Clubhouse. I don't know, they're like 4 for $5 at No Frills, 5 for $5 at Walmart. Just grab one shepherd's pie, and that's going to be most of your flavoring. In fact, all your flavoring if you don't feel like doing anything else. It's sufficient. We've got 2 Spanish onions that have been skinned. That carrot there is going in the spinach salad. And the components of our spinach salad tonight are going to be red bell pepper, Honeycrisp apple, and some raspberries with our baby spinach, and little carrot dollars. Let's see what else. Yeah, I don't really rehearse or anything. Anyway, okay, so then you have an option of how you want the final product to look. So these are all the pans that I have used, as well as the pan that I used for the chicory hicken drumsticks last week, where it's a bread pan and it's got the island in the middle. These are all great. You're cooking for yourself, some kids, whoever else. You know, you might want a lasagna dish like this. The key is, and the goal is to try to get your meat and vegetable layer. Whoops. Your meat and vegetable layer and your potato layer to be roughly the same height and the same width. Just to get that balance of taste and flavor. So, tonight, I have chosen to go with the muffin tray and the 2-bite brownie trays. I'll just use them until they're gone. But these are great, especially if you have kids, because they're individual portions. And you can just scoop those out. If you have any leftovers, you can scoop them out, throw them in a sandwich bag, and throw them in the freezer. For like 4 minutes in the microwave, and they're fantastic. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take all these potatoes, and we're just going to chop them in half, right? It doesn't matter if you want to chop them that way or that way. We're going to throw those in a pot of water on the stove on high to boil for 20 minutes. Now, I'm going to throw them in the water when I put it on the stove. I'm not going to wait for the water to boil. And then I'm going to count 20 minutes after the water starts boiling. Your mashed potatoes will be fluffier if with the least amount of preemptive damage to putting them in the water. So you could, if you don't mind boiling them for half an hour to 40 minutes, you could put them in whole. And you'll get the fluffiest mashed potatoes possible. I just usually cut them in half so I can cut down the cooking time. So, all we're doing with the potatoes, and I like to put garlic in with my potatoes as well, my potato mash. But if there's anybody with allergies to garlic or a real disgust for for garlic, then you don't have to use garlic at all. That's just something I like to add, especially in the winter. Really helps fight illness, keep you nice and strong and healthy. Also, another little tip, potatoes have more vitamin C than an orange, as does red bell pepper. Okay, so that is just going to be the topper. Once we do our ground beef, the ground beef is the most important thing. So we're going to brown the beef with the frozen vegetables. That bag doesn't come with onions, so I'm going to dice up 2 onions. Usually I use about 1 onion, medium-sized onion, per pound of beef. We got 2 pounds for a large portion tonight, and that's it. So stay tuned. I'm sorry. You're also going to need at least one type of brick cheese or shredded cheese. I prefer to use block cheese and shred it myself, because I've heard that there's excess, there's extra chemicals that they put in the shredded cheese to keep it good, as it probably has a tendency to mold a lot quicker than a solid brick. We've got Monterey Jack and old cheddar cheese. I prefer old cheddar to mild or medium. Mild is just rubbery wax as far as I'm concerned. Medium is kind of getting there with a little more sharpness in the flavor, but old cheddar or extra old is what cheese should taste like, in my opinion. So, and these two ingredients are just simply to finish off the top of the mashed potato, and then we're going to stick those in the oven on broil on high until the cheese melts just a little bit. All right, so we've got our half-cup potatoes in the water. That's going to come to a boil, and then I'm going to time it as soon as I see it, the rolling boil start at the bottom. I'm going to time it for 20 minutes, and that should be sufficient to get everything to cook all the way through. So it'll be nice and fluffy mashed potatoes. We've got our 2 pounds of beef, minus 10 little meatballs for the dog. And very simple, throw it in the pan, going at a medium heat. Obviously we don't want to cook in a big log like this, so I'm just going to take a wooden spoon, break it up. And you don't have to grease the pan or anything because the fat in the beef, I use regular ground beef, little fattier content, and because of the fat that's in the beef, it's going to grease the pan by itself. So as it cooks, it's very gummy right now, and the spoon's not doing much without a lot of pressure. But as it cooks and starts to brown slowly, especially when you get the onions in and the vegetables in, they're going to release all the water that they still contain, and that's going to really help tenderize, and the texture of the meat. So breaking it up with a spoon won't be that hard. So we'll just get it going like that. Give it a start. Medium heat. And for onions, when you want to dice onions, this is the way I do it. It's real easy. Stand it up on its end, cut it lengthwise, and then we're going to take one of these ends and we're going to make that the butt end, right? So the butt end is away from you, and then you're going to cut about 1 centimeter away from that butt end, and you're going to make little cuts. Basically, the cuts will be spaced the same distance apart that you want for the diameter of your pieces. So now you can see that, right? And then very easy. Just cut your little cube pieces. And when we get to that last little butt end, you're just going to take that, move your hand up on the knife, and then you've got your little cube pieces from your butt piece. You don't waste any. Put that right in with the beef. And we're going to do it again. Like I said, I usually use 1 onion per pound of beef. Alright, onions done. If you ever get that burning in the eyeballs when you're slicing onions, little trick I use is as soon as I start crying and it gets overwhelming, I throw my head in the freezer, crank the freezer door open, stick your head in there for 12 seconds. And the stinging goes away completely, and you're back to doing what you're doing. Some onions are very, very, very painful to work with, but onions take toxins out of the blood. Crucially important. Actually, if you cut an onion open, cut an onion in half and stick it in the door of your fridge, it'll remove the excess toxins. Not the excess toxins, it'll remove all the toxins out of the fridge. So those toxins don't taint the rest of your food. You can even do that on the kitchen counter if you want. And it almost acts like baking soda acts in the fridge to keep everything, keep smells down and but I don't know what else. Okay, so just mix those in. What I like to do now is salt the upper side generously of your meat, like pepper. And now as I flip over the meat, it's a lot easier to break apart with a spoon. Now we're just going to keep turning it every minute or so until it looks like all the meat's brown. Okay, now the water's boiling for the potatoes. I'm going to set a timer for 20 minutes. It's been boiling for about 2, so I'm going to set it for 18 minutes. This is minced garlic. It just cuts out the middleman. This stuff is excellent. So convenient to use and full of medicinal benefits. Okay, so now that the onions are diced and in with the beef, I'll take my vegetables. How much vegetables do you use? Well, basically I'll go over top of the beef and do just a thin coating. I can see pockets of beef through the vegetables, but I've got them spanning across the entire surface of the pan. And that should be a nice ratio. So at this point I'm going to turn my heat up a little bit on the beef, because now we've got frozen vegetables in there. And absolutely you can use fresh vegetables. Nothing wrong with frozen vegetables in a dish like shepherd's pie, because they blast freeze all these vegetables at their optimal nutrient content, a perfect ripeness. Nothing wrong with frozen vegetables at all. And it's a lot of extra work to do all these yourself from your garden or whatever, you know. So quick and easy. That's how I like to do it for the most part. Okay, so you can still see that there's ice all through these vegetables. I usually go by the green beans because they're the biggest. And once I see the green beans have thawed out, then I'm going to add my flavor, my shepherd's pie flavoring from that packet of flavor that I showed you. Stay tuned. Alright, so the mix has been cooking like this, moderate high heat, about 5 minutes. And as you can see, the beef is pretty much all brown. Alright, so we got the packet of shepherd's pie flavoring. Take a big cup and threw it in there. A little stir, get rid of all the dry stuff. Okay, now we're going to come over here. we're just going to pour it in. Now there's lots left, so we're going to put more water in it. Another big thing. We'll throw that in there. Now you can leave the temperature right where it is. And that's going to come to a boil very soon. And we're just going to let it boil down. As it boils down, it's going to leave the flavoring from that packet. The water is going to evaporate, but it can't take the powdery residue with the flavor in it with it. So the water evaporates, leaves the flavor behind. So the flavor is going to get infused to all these little bits in here. The beef, the vegetables. And it's also going to coagulate at the very end. So you're going to have kind of a, I guess, a little sauce. Alright, so you see how soupy it is, how watery it still is. That's totally normal. That water's going to evaporate, leave all the flavor in, and while it's in there, it's super tenderizing all these little bits of beef. It'll give it that melt in your mouth feel when it comes time to eat it. So just let that do its thing, and as the water level goes down, it's going to thicken up and get real saucy. We got 5.5 minutes left on our potatoes, and we'll see where this is at in about 5.5 minutes. I think they'll probably finish near about the same time. Alright, so it's been about 2 minutes since I strained the potatoes and got them back in the hot pot. They're just sitting on a coal burner right now while I do this part. As you can see, all that water is evaporated, and now we've got like a saucy gravy. So, but there's still way too much moisture in there. So I've turned the heat off completely and left the pan on the burner, and it's still boiling away. And the more you stir it, the more you open up pockets so the air can get to it, and it helps the that excess moisture evaporate a lot quicker. And I've been stirring this. This has taken about 13 minutes to cook down, and I've been stirring it, I don't know, every 2 to 3 minutes. I move everything around, open things up, spread the flavor around evenly. So now with the potatoes. We are going to just make simple, easy mashed potatoes. The way that I do it is you have your potatoes that have been strained, air dried a little bit. Get your masher. Get a firm masher. Lots of different techniques to do mashed potatoes. You could use an electrical device, little mixing, hand mixer, whatever. I put 1 little round of milk. You can also use cream, the creamer that you use for your coffee. They'll be a little bit richer in texture and flavor. So as you can see, the 20 minutes for half potatoes, real easy. The important thing with mashed potatoes, don't use too much milk. Use a little bit. It starts to get mashed up. Use a little bit more. Not much. Spilling's part of cooking. Okay, move, man. Move. I got 2 wolves. 1 at each leg. I love my cooking. Alright, so I go around and I hug the edge, and I'm just trying to get all the largest chunks. Once I've gone around a few times, knock that off, and I'll stick the masher right in the middle. And I'm just trying to go around the outsides. And as you do that, it takes all the mashed potatoes, Just hug the outside rim, let that guide you. And that's how I whip my potatoes by hand. So it's one step, it's mashed potatoes elevated. It's a lot smoother and creamier on the palate. Right, so that's your mashed potato. That's your whipped potato, excuse me. All right, let's go check. There's one, there's two. Okay, so you can see that gravy now, right? So now it's kind of, the moisture level has decreased kind of like to a place where it's just really just coating everything. And there's not really any excess when you're moving your beef out of the way. There's a little bit there. Jesus. All right, so the heat's off. We've stirred that again. As you can see, just by stirring it right there, how much drier it looks, right? And if you're in luck, like we are, your oven is on a slant. And so I get a lot of pooling to the southwest corner of my cooking vessels. So I kind of play on that, and I let the water accumulate over here with not much else. And if you just move the body of the paragraph over, let all those liquids come out. All your flavor from that packet is already in the majority of this pile of beef over here. We're just going to let that thin out a little bit, just a little bit more. We'll just leave it right there. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take our pans, and when that is to the desired consistency, should be in the next 2 minutes, I'm going to take my spoon and I'm going to scoop into each one of these, and I'm going to bring that right to the top. After I do that to all of them, get them all filled, I'm going to take the whipped potatoes. I'm going to spoon the whipped potatoes on top, and I'm going to cover up all the beef. And actually, it would be wiser to just leave a little, you know, 1/4 of an inch from the top so that the potatoes can get nestled into each spot on top of the beef. And then we're going to flatten out the tops. Remember, try to match or a little bit less potato than beef, but try to get equal amounts. For aesthetics, half the taste of food is in the presentation, right? So try to make it aesthetically pleasing as possible. And then we're going to take our 2 cheeses, and we're just going to make a nice little mix. And I like to throw a little salt and ground pepper. And then we're going to just finely cut up some fresh parsley and sprinkle that on top of each one. We're going to put it in the oven, put the broiler on high a couple minutes, just keep an eye on it, and when the cheese melts, you're good to serve. All right, so when you got all your salad ingredients diced up, put in the bowl. Then we're going to take the juice of half a fresh lemon. In my opinion, this is the best salad dressing. One of the healthiest. Then we're going to take a little bit of malt vinegar. I got a little hole in my cap there, that's where it's coming from. We'll take a little bit of salt. Give that a mix. One rule I like to go by in regards to nutrition and nutrients vitamins is that I like to have a display of vibrant colors. Reds, greens, whites. If you make sure that there's a few different vibrant colors in your meals, you're covering food groups and you're getting a variety of super important nutrients in every meal. And salads are easy. Oh, and we're going to throw some raspberries in here. We got raspberries. Put some of those in there as well. And that is a beautiful salad. All right. We got a beautiful salad. Shepherd's pie has been in the oven for about 5 to 7 minutes. And that's how she looks. So, that is Billy's Pie of the Shepherd with simple spinach side salad. Chocolate milks. All right, so got our meat and vegetable mixture. And our little muffin and brownie trays. Take a whipped potato. Hey, watch out. Hey, get out of there. Get out of there.
All right, what's your name? Emergency, I'll be fired. Talk back to me. Did you hear what I said? Get out. You want me to call the cops? I make and break little worms like you every day. Do you know how much money I make? Do you have any idea? Do you know where I live? I can have any woman in this city that I want. Anyone. Now get out. What are you all looking at? Go back to work. Back.
Alright, we're just flattening the mashed potatoes down. Just give it a little table for the cheese to sit on.
You're fine. There's nothing wrong with you. I'm the one who's dying. Because I can't act. I just don't know what I'm doing. I'm gonna make a fool out of myself in front of the entire country. Come on. You're fine.
Now, obviously, if you want to make them a little bit neater, feel free.
Everything was fine. Now this thing's gonna be a success. And God's gonna
We're big fans of the abstract in this house.
Zach is playing the lane. She's out of her mind. The guy's playing criminal. What? I asked him about the races. You mentioned the races? Did he break them? I am not Jerry under
All right, so we got our cheddar. Watch out, bud.
So you gonna take me all right? Oh, come on, you gotta go. He's harmless. He's got a little crush on you. We need you there. No, I'm gonna stay home. I want to be close to my home base in case there's any news.
All right, cheddar, Monterey Jack.
Wilton Marshall. Remember? 1978. Wow.
Move it. Come on. All right, cheddar and Monterey Jack. Now we got some fresh parsley from the herb garden. Dried parsley works just as well. Well, not just as well. I always go for fresh over dried. Oh, I should have said this before. The importance of keeping a sharp knife. You'll prevent injuries, and you'll get some nice, straight, solid cut lines on your stuff. And when it comes to presentation, it absolutely makes the food taste better. So I keep a little file in my drawer. Make sure it's got a nice edge. Give the bunch an initial chop. And you chop it as fine as you want. Really. If you want it all the way down to minced, you can do that. Here's a little trick for mincing up herbs. Put the point of your knife in the middle of the pile couple inches away. Grab the knife here. And just fan it across. Takes no time at all. And the sharper the blade, the easier that process is as well. So now we're just going to garnish. You know what, we'll just garnish the big ones. And you can see the difference in the final product. Maybe you don't want any garnish, maybe you do. Your prerogative. And then I'm going to put my broil on my oven on high. I'm going to salt. I'm going to pepper. And watch out, Bucky. And they're going to go in the oven. Remember to keep an eye on it. You don't want the cheese to burn. You just want it to melt. Alright, so got our baby spinach in a bowl. We've got our carrot dollars in the bowl. We've got a red pepper. We cut the top off. Cut the bottom off. Slice one side. The next. The next. Skin off the fiber on the inside. Well, that's not fiber. I don't remember what that's called, but that's your seeds. Throw them on a plate on top of the fridge for 3 days. Dry them out, throw them in a Ziploc, and plant them next year. You get lots of red peppers. Okay, now we're going to take our long pieces, cut them lengthwise. Little pieces, right in the salad. Take your ends, cut them one way, cut them the other way. Honeycrisp apple. Granny Smith works very well. Actually, all apples work very well. We tend to use just as much fruit as we do vegetables in our salads. So we're going to cut twice on each side. Once, twice to the core. Flip it around. Once, twice to the core. Once, twice to the core. Take our pieces. Cut strips. Turn it. Cut the strips into chunks. Strips.